First, I'd like to thank everybody for completing out the surveys that we sent to you prior to the training. Before I go into detail on the results of those surveys, I'd like to talk to you briefly about why we use the research and how it incorporates into today's training. The purpose of the research is to identify the strengths of the individuals in today's audience, as well as some of the deficiencies or weaknesses in the areas of time management. So we can spend a little bit more time and effort on these areas and try to cover them in depth and detail. First, if we take a look at some of the numbers, we see that everybody in the room is very strong. On a 5-point rating, we're over 4.0 on both planning as well as goal setting. Now, obviously, these are two very important topics in time management that we want to talk about in a little bit more detail, but we want to actually take to the next level and do more advanced type training on. Now, if we go to the other end of the spectrum, and if we look at some of the deficiencies that we have, we see things such as the idea of procrastination and avoiding procrastination, as well as learning how to delegate activities. If we look at these ratings, they're 3.81 as well as 3.65 respectively. So there's some opportunities for improvement in these areas. We're going to spend some time talking about procrastination and how to avoid procrastination, particularly this idea of the concentration threshold. The concentration threshold is determining how long we can spend on a particular task that we don't like before moving on to another task. One of the challenges with procrastination is that if there's tasks that we don't like, we try to avoid them, and we don't really understand how long we can work on them before we lose our focus when we do have to work on these tasks. The idea of delegation is more of the notion of learning how to say no and understanding how we tell people that we can't help them or there's other tasks that we have to do. Coupled with that is the idea that we have to give activities and jobs back to the people that own those jobs. There's a famous article in the Harvard Business Review that talks about the monkey on your back. And I ask you, and I challenge you to really understand what monkeys you have on your back. Whose tasks, activities, and jobs have you taken on that don't belong to you, and how can we start to give those back? If we look deeper into some of the open-ended responses you provided to us, we really see this breakdown between the idea of internal and external time management. Our perspective in today's training is that we really want to take an internal focus first in the idea of managing ourselves and learning how to avoid procrastination, getting better at planning as well as organization, starting to determine how to set goals on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, and then finally learning how to prioritize activities based on the urgent and the important. From there, we move on to the idea of external time management and starting to have discussions with those people around us and how they influence our ability to manage our time.